Good morning. So today I'll be representing a topic on the organizational culture in the functional services on behalf of technology industry. And my topic is a comparative visual analysis with the Google LLC versus the Goldman Sachs Group INC. It is presented by Drashti Patel and the group. The course name is Organization and Strategy with the respective Professor Leonard Jordan. What are we going to study for this slide first, which is like the overview. So let's divide into the two Fortune 500 companies in the distinct intersecting industry. One, which is the Google LLC, which enhances the technology, the information services. We choose these two companies because they sit on the opposite end of the cultural spectrums. Google is all about the openness and the innovation, whereas the Goldman is about the rigor and hierarchy. Using 10 to 20 workplaces images, we analyze formality, structured, powered, values, and collaborations. Our framework draws on the Shishin 3 level cultural models and the cultural dimensions, which is to covered in the next forum. What have we deep studied into the analytical frame? One of the main cultural components is the formality of the workplace structure, the staff organization, and whereas to compare about the evidence of the status where the organization values and the communicated visually into the physical support for the teamwork and the collaboration. Dividing into this quick context of this both of the companies, mainly the Google was founded in 1998, which has about 1,82,000 employees and its headquarters at the Googleplex in the Mount View. Their culture is too about for the innovations and the openness, whereas the Goldman Sachs was founded in 1869, which has about 45,000 of employees and is known for its prestige, discipline, and hierarchy. Same goal, attract the top talent, completely different approaches. Dividing into this two, let's say which I earlier mentioned, the employees. The headquarters, which is for the Google, is the Mount View. The culture is also known as an innovation, openness, perks. Stock symbol, which is known as a Google. The revenue for the Google is around $307 billion, which is like more than the Goldman Sachs. The Goldman Sachs is already found in 1869, which is in the New York. Industry is mainly invested into the banking and the finances. Employs nearly around the 45,000. Headquarters is mainly in the New York. Cultural is known as the prestige, rigor, and hierarchy. Stock symbol is GS. Revenue is 46 billion. Let's talk about the dimensions, the formalities of the workplace images between the two of the companies, and let's differentiate one on each by one. Let's talk about the dimension first, which is looking at the Google's workplace images. You immediately see the open layouts, the casual dresses, the colorful lounges, nap pods. The space says, to be creative, we trust you. Now look at the Goldman. Trading floors with rows of terminals, business formal attire, private offices for the senior staff. The space says, you are here to perform. Neither is wrong. They serve different strategy purposes. Looking at the dimension 2, Google. At the Google, the status of the signals are deliberately minimized. Effective sits on no open workspace. Meetings rooms are open to anyone. No reserved parking by the title. That's low power distance. Hot studded storm. At Goldman's, it is opposite. Corner office for the partners. Private dining floors. Then the title plaques on the doors, reserved floors in the buildings. The physical layout is basically a visible organization chart. Walking and you know exactly where you stand. Which is a great about the structure, type, and hierarchy about the gold. Let's talk about the evidence of the status, what it does as a power differentiates. The Google executive wing, which is a all-hands meeting, while the Goldman Sachs, which is on the 200 West Street, partner offices, the corner suites, reserved floors, title plaques on the doors. The sources are the Bloomberg Business Week 2023. Indicator. What are likely? Office assignment, parking, perks, dress, design, open desk for all levels, equal accesses, no status box, no visible hierarchy in the attire. Any one book can any room, while the Goldman Sachs is private offices of the MDs, reserved parking, dining for the seniors, suite quality signal seniority, boardrooms restricted by the title, see souvenirs on the floor. Let's talk about the Google Workspace screens. The innovations, the whiteboard wall prototype display. The project models were everywhere. This is about like the 20% time policy, which gives the engineers 1 day a week for a personal project. Produce the Gmails and the Google Maps. That values made operation. Goldman Sachs communicate performance. Bloomberg terminals everywhere. Deal tombstones on display. Award walls and completing the values frameworks and the advocacy and the chain cultures. Goldman is all about the market and the hierarchy. What is different between them? Innovation, high prototyping spaces, 20 time policy. Excellence, which is like defined by creative output and the user impact. Community, there's a campus cultures, clubs, ERGs, open cultures. Achievements, OKRs driven, recognitions, democratic promotions, encouraged, move fast and experiment. What does it mean by the collaboration? Let's define this two into very distinguished Google collaboration space versus the Goldman Sachs trading floor. What do we see here? And Google collaboration is an engineer into the architecture where Microsoft kitchens, every 150 feet movable furnitures, open project walls, accidentally hallway conversations are a features, not a bug. At Goldman, collaboration is functional and purposeful. Trading desk culture, clustered by product, group classes, wall-rooms, keeps teams visible but private. Whereas in the Goldman trading desk, tightly clusters team by the product. Glass-walled meeting room maintains hierarchy while allowing the visibility. Team bonding is formalized through all of the sites rather than the space designs. What about interruptions? Collaboration is functional but not the serendipitous. Teamwork happens within the defined product groups. Space reinforces accountability to the team, not the firm at the large scale. What do we see here about the comprehensive table, the comparison where we see the tables pull everything together across all the 5 dimensions you see as a consistent pattern. Google is informal. Google is informal, flat, allegations, innovations driven. Goldman is a formal, hierarchical, prestige driven, performance focused. Every element of each culture reinforces every other element. That internal coherence is exactly what it makes sense to you, everyone. Where the core values, the collaboration styles, employees, experiences, the cultural types, where it builds into this physical space versus, and the Goldman, it's a functional team based. Wherein the core values, the innovations and the openness, wherein the Goldman's is an excellence and the performance. Wherein the Google, it has the low power distance versus it has the high power in the Goldman Sachs. Structure is flat in the Google while it is tall in Goldman. What about the cultural type? It is advocacy, it's a market claim, and everything. Let's talk about the Shetson's model. Chechen says cultures works at 3 different levels. Level 1, which is called as the artifacts. What can you see there? The Google open offices, nap pods, casual clothes. The casual clothes. Goldman, the formal attire, trading floors, deal the tombstones. The level 2 is the exposed values, what they see, what they believe. While the Google transparency and the user first innovations, Goldman says integrity, excellence, client services level 3, while the basic assumptions, what people believe without even saying it. At Google, the familiarity is that high data point, hierarchy slows things down, whereas at the Goldman, excellence is non-negotiable. Hierarchy signals competence. The third level is the hardest to change among the most powerful and the precious thing. Tend to value the autonomy and creativity. Those to the Google's values prestige and performance. Misalignment between individual values and organizations. Conclusion. Google and Goldman Sachs represents two fundamental distinct organization cultural archetypes. Google's autocracy claims on the most important two insights, which is neither is better, optimized for different environments. The most powerful distances literally is visible into the architecture. The values alignment in the number one predictor of the employer satisfaction and the retention if your personal values do not match the organization's cultures. The most important conclusion among this is two very close. Google and Goldman present two distinct cultures archetypes. Google advocacy and Klein open innovative egalitarian, while the Goldman is a market hierarchy, rigorous, prestigious, performance driven. The biggest takeaway is that the organization culture is not a poster on the wall. It is lived in every desk, every floor plan, every dress code choice. The space don't lie. Thank you and happy to take any questions. Thank you so much.